This is the final video that we're going to have in this series, and it's going to basically look at some of the options that you can put in place on your lamp base. The first and most common option that people will want to use is to put what we call a fillet or a round on these corners here, because they do come across as being quite sharp and they're not actually very pleasant to actually pick up. The way that we do that is through the modify tool and use fillet. I'm going to basically click on this one, this one, this one, and this one here. And we're going to basically modify our fillet, and I'm going to look at it from underneath when I do so. There's a few sort of things to be concerned about when we're doing this. So I can see what I'm doing now from looking underneath. If we go too far, you can see that our lamp starts to break apart. We lose our name tag, that sort of thing. I personally wouldn't go any more than probably 5mm if I was going to do it. And typically my favorite sort of measurement is a 3mm round. 3mm round is not too much, it's not too small. A 1mm round is like, a 31mm round is very bad, sorry. A 1mm round is barely noticeable, and anything above 3 is probably overkill, really. So a 3mm round, if you want to go further, you can. It's a matter of choice, but just don't do it so that it starts to break apart here, and also don't do it so that it starts to impede on this section here. Press OK. You might also, if you're rounding this, want to round these corners as well. So you'll do the same fillet. I'm going to press F for fillet this time, and click on here and here. And I would always match the fillet that I chose on the bottom with the fillet on the top. But you might choose to do that differently. If you go too far, once again, it starts to break apart. And in fact, this time it gives you an error. So the biggest you could probably do is 9. I personally think that looks a bit weird myself, but you might like it. And that might be what you choose to do. If I'm going to fillet this and this, I'm going to pretty typically just go to 3 and press OK. Do not fillet the inside lines, because that will impact on your ability to put your lamp diffuser in here. Any other fillets you might want to do are purely incidental. You can fillet inside here if you really want, but it doesn't actually prove anything. The only outside is the only thing that you're really worried about is the outside. So basically, those would be the fillets you can do. If you're going to put decorative features like text or other things on the surface, there are a few things you need to be aware of as well. Let's just go with a sketch here and go with the text. And I'm going to put some text on the front surface, making sure I don't accidentally put it on there or on one of these lines, on the front surface. So I'm going to put the text on here. I'm just going to put the text hello. There it is there. Might rack it in the center, might make it heaps bigger. Make it like 16 maybe. Okay, and there it is. It sort of just fits. You don't want it going over around if you've got it, because it won't work very well. So I've got that there, and I'm going to go OK. Now if I stop that sketch, I've got this text here that says hello. I've got two options if I want to modify that. I can push it in, or I can pull it out. Do not pull it out more than 3mm. So if you go 3mm out, that's okay. I think it's a bit extreme, but any more than 3mm, it's going to cause you issues. It's going to actually look quite ugly. Do not go more than 3mm. Similarly, if we're going backwards, it's even more extreme. Don't go back more than 1mm. If you go back more than 1mm, let's just go back 2mm. You're going to see what's going to happen here. It's going to go all the way through, and it's going to cut right through. I'll click OK, and you'll notice that the hello now goes right through, and you'll be able to see your battery, and that O is going to fall off. You don't want to go right through. Only go 1mm in if you're going to go in, and only come 3mm out if you're going to go out. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z on that and modify it. I'm typically going to bring it out 2mm at most. So there you go. Do not put any decorative features on the back, because you will impede on your switch. You don't want to do that. You can put them on the sides, and they don't actually have to be text. You can, but if you're really keen, for example, you want to have a nice something like that on there for some reason, stop sketch, you can do that as well. Once again, same rules, not more than 3, not less than -1. So there you have it. These are some of the decorations you can put on here to make your lamp base a little bit more yours and a little bit more interesting.